Welcome back to the Team to Beat Miami Heat podcast. My name is Amir. Just want to thank everybody for listening to the podcast on Apple and Spotify. And also want to thank anybody who's watching on YouTube. Thank you for your support. If you're watching this video on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. So the Miami Heat are going to be playing the Philadelphia 76ers this Wednesday on the road in the 7th versus 8th seed playing game. The Miami Heat, unfortunately, are the 8th seed this season. They had the potential of getting the 5th seed or the 6th seed and avoiding the play-in yesterday when every single NBA team played in a really fun day. And the Miami Heat needed help from one of four teams, and all four of these teams ended up winning along with Miami. So that meant the Miami Heat were stuck in the 8th seed, which is unfortunate. And, there's a lot of reasons why they were the 8th seed. There's a lot of blame that we can talk about. And I don't want to go into that today. So for this episode, I want to talk about the upcoming game. And more specifically, I want to talk a little bit about matchups, perhaps, and who's going to be the X factor on Wednesday for the Miami Heat. So the Miami Heat were 46-36 this season. Two more games this year they won compared to last. They did finish the 7th seed last year and lost that first playing game against the Hawks, and then ended up winning against the Bulls. So the Heat fell from 7th to 8th. And the Miami Heat this year against the 76ers in the regular season, 4 matchups, it went 2-2. The Miami Heat had the tiebreaker over the Sixers, but lost a big game last week against the Sixers on the road. So in the first 3 games in the regular season, Joel Embiid and Jimmy Butler both did not play. So the Heat won the first 2 games. And the first game, I believe, was on Christmas, and Jaime Jaquez Jr. had 31 points and had probably the best game of his career and carried the Miami Heat in a spectacular performance. The Heat ended up winning the second game against the Sixers. And in the third game, where no Jimmy and Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, crushed it and dominated and carried the Sixers to a victory. And then the most recent game last week, both Embiid and Jimmy Butler did play, and Embiid was returning from a 2-month absence, and the Sixers beat the Miami Heat. So 2-2, and tough to predict what can happen on Wednesday based on the season series again, because the best players on each team missed the majority of the games. But on paper, and based on how the Sixers have been playing of late, I think they're on a 10-game winning streak. It looks like the Sixers are going to win this game at home with a really good team, honestly. If Embiid didn't get hurt this season, I would expect the Sixers to be the number 2 seed. I don't think they would have caught the Boston Celtics, but Joel Embiid is or would have been the MVP, I think, this season if he didn't miss 2 months with that meniscus injury. So unfortunately for the Sixers, they ended up the 7th seed, and they should be the favorites. And I believe they are the favorites, obviously, against the Heat. And does that mean they're going to win for sure? No, because it's a 1-game sample size. That's what makes this play-in exciting and crazy. It's like football. It's any given Sunday. It's only 1 game. So the Miami Heat, even though they're not the favorites, can go on the road, which they are a better road team, surprisingly, this season than they were a home team. They can go there and steal one, and all they need to do is steal one, and they could lock in the 7th seed, which would punch in a ticket to play against the New York Knicks, who ended up the 2nd seed, which is super impressive in my opinion, with all the injuries that they had to deal with. Julius Randle's out for the season, won't come back in the playoffs. Their not mid-season, but their acquisition during the season, OG and Anunoby, also has missed a ton of games after getting wrist surgery and then coming back and then having complications. So I don't know when he's going to return, but he's expected to play in the playoffs. But yeah, that would be fun again if the Miami Heat can play the Knicks back to back seasons in the playoffs and kind of respark and renew that rivalry that the Heat had with them in the late '90s when Alonzo Mourning and Tim Hardaway were at the top and were playing against Patrick Ewing and the Allen Houstons and the Spreewells. Um, that would be a really fun matchup, and I think it's a better matchup than the Bucks, honestly, because the Bucks were the 2 seed for the majority of the year, and they fell to 3. And honestly, like I know Giannis is hurt, but I don't know how bad he's hurt. Maybe he can come back in time for the first round, but I think I'd rather play the Knicks, honestly. But either way, going back to this play-in game against the 76ers. So the key matchup, obviously, and they're not going to be directly guarding each other, but they will be at times, especially Jimmy. But the key matchup is obviously Joel Embiid versus Jimmy Butler. They're the two best players on their respective teams. And Joel Embiid has been playing great coming back off injury. And in his 5 games that he played, returning from that knee injury in the regular season, he averaged 31 points almost, 5.4, or excuse me, 9.2 rebounds, 5.3 assists, 1.4 steals, and 1.2 blocks while shooting 50% from the field. Can't say the same about Jimmy Butler in his final 5 games that he played in the regular season, only averaging 18.6 points on 55% shooting, which is amazing, but 5.4 rebounds, 6.2 assists, and 1.2 steals. So we all know Joel Embiid, again, while healthy and while playing, absolutely dominated this season. He averaged 35 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, a steal, almost 2 blocks, just insane numbers for Joel Embiid. We know he's going to show up. He could be a little banged up, though. I know in the last few games, he's kind of tweaked his knee, landing a little bit awkwardly, and had to miss some time. I know he came back in both of those games, but he missed the last game of the season. They sat him out against the Nets, and they still destroyed. But either way, that's going to be the key matchup. It's going to be Joel Embiid and Jimmy Butler who can carry their team to the victory. We need Jimmy Butler to show up, and he's had an up and down year. And I don't know if it's father time, if it's age that's catching up to Jimmy Butler. He's 34 years old, and let's not forget, um, he is one of the oldest players in the league. I looked it up. He's the 36th oldest player out of like 450 players. He's still in his prime, but you can see he's in the twilight of his prime. He's slowing down, and he's not looking the same as he did last year, at least this season. But who knows? Jimmy Butler, still might have some Himmy left in him, and we're going to need him to be Himmy in this game. We need to win this game at all costs. This is a must-win game for the Miami Heat. We do not want to play the number 1 seed Boston Celtics in the first round. We need to avoid them. If we get the 7th seed, we play the Knicks, and then I believe we would play the Bucks perhaps in the next round if they win their matchup and against the Pacers. Then we would play the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals if we make it that far. So this is a must-win. We need Jimmy Butler to win that matchup. That's going to be very difficult, but we need him to at least match Embiid's output. So it's going to be Tyrese and Embiid essentially as their top 2, Jimmy and Bam. We need to match their output. They average 120 points per game. The Heat only average 109. And so for us to stay afloat, our top 2 needs to compete or do better than their top 2. So that's going to be a tough ask because Tyrese Maxey has been killing it lately. And against the Miami Heat in 4 regular season matchups, he had scored at least 30 points 3 times while shooting 52% in those games. In their last meeting, he had 37 points on 15 for 26 shooting. So he crushed it. We need to slow him down. We need to throw a Caleb Martin at him at times, maybe even Jimmy Butler, but Caleb might be our best point of attack defender, along with DeLon Wright. I think he needs to get some time, honestly, and we got to stop playing players that are not defensive minded, like Terry Rozier was guarding him. Haywood Highsmith is also capable, someone that we could put on him that has length. So I think Caleb, Haywood, and maybe like a DeLon Wright would probably make the most sense. So we need to slow him down. I think that's going to be a key factor. But going back to my earlier thoughts, like who's going to be the X factor for the Miami Heat in this matchup against the Sixers? I think it's Tyler Herro. So I don't know if Terry Rozier is going to play right now. He's dealing with that neck spasm. He missed the last 4 games. So I'm assuming he's going to be questionable for this game and a game time decision, but let's count him as out at this point. Right now, Tyler is now thrusted back into that big 3 spotlight. So we need Jimmy and Bam to perform as our best 2 players. And role players are inconsistent. So we don't know who's going to step up. It could be Jovic. It could be Caleb Martin. It could be the rookie, Jaime Jaquez. It could be Haywood Highsmith, who's been shooting threes very well. Kevin Love and Duncan Robinson, I would throw in there possibly too as possible threats, but I don't know if they're playing because they're both injured right now as well. So the Heat, story of our year, dealing with injuries again. But anyway, Tyler Herro is the guy that needs to step up for us and help us score because, again, offensive rating, 21st in the league. Horrible. Bottom 10. Horrible for a contending team. Defense, top 5. That's our bread and butter. But either way, Tyler Herro has missed 40 games this season, and he's played, I think, 5 games also in his return. And he's averaging 21 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, actually in 6 games since returning from his foot injury, shooting 47% from the field and 38% from 3. So he has looked good. He has not missed a beat, just like Joel Embiid, which is surprising that they both missed months of basketball and they both look amazing. I mean, obviously Embiid looks way more amazing than Tyler Herro, but Herro's been playing really well. And he gives us Miami Heat the ability to score, and he's not the greatest 3-level scorer, but he's a 3-level scorer right now. And with Terry Rozier, who's our other 3-level scorer, who's been playing great before the injury, is someone we desperately need right now, especially if Terry's going to be out. So if Herro can knock down enough jumpers and force Philly's defense to react, that's going to create more space for Jimmy and Bam. And so they can operate in that mid-range and operate more so in the paint. And if he can limit the Sixers to scoring under 110 points, 10 points below their season average, I think they have a real shot to win this game. And I think they could shock the world again by winning this playing game, but then also beating the Knicks as the 7th seed. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think the Miami Heat have a chance against the Sixers, or do you think they're destined to play against the winner of the Hawks and Chicago game? And then also let me know who you think the X factor will be for this game specifically coming up against the Sixers. Thank you so much again. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.